Aloha, and welcome to some more Hawaiian steel guitar. It snowed last night, miserable winter day out there today, so why not play some Hawaiian steel guitar? Thank you so much for all those kind words from the last video. People seem to enjoy that Hawaiian music, and I encourage you to go and listen to more. Listen to the people that really know how to play. Just go to, say, YouTube and search for Hawaiian steel guitar, and you'll get all kinds of things. The modern players, Alan Akaka, Bobby Agano. One of my favorites is Greg Sardina. Also get some of the next gen, the students that Alan Akaka teaches, as well as you go back to the 30s and the 40s. People like Jerry Bird, for instance. Some of the really old stuff I've been getting into lately from the 1920s, and even older than that. The players from that era, of course, are Saul Huapi'i, and the modern players that are bringing that music back are people like Christo Ruppenthal and Sebastian Muller out of Germany, and a guy that I had never heard of before until just recently, Ken Emerson, who bridges that gap between the old Hawaiian music and the stuff from the 1920s. I'm going to play some old stuff today on my Hawaiian steel guitar from that era. It looks like a regular old flat top Spanish style guitar, but this is how they used to play over 100 years ago. Just raise the strings up off the fret and then that's how they used to play. And it's tuned a little different than, say, the last guitar I had. This is a G tuning. And I'm going to do a song from, it goes back to 1915, but the oldest recording I've heard was 1917 from Frank Ferreira, the Palakiko Blues. Frank Ferreira was nicknamed Palakiko. And I listened to a lot of different versions of this song, so I sort of glued together my own version. I hope you enjoy it. It's a different style, but this is what they used to play back in the good old days. like I say, it's a little different style. The steel guitar was invented in the late 1800s, 1880 or so. And Hawaiian music you had at the time, you had the ukulele, which everybody's familiar with. It's mostly. And then the slack key guitar, which wasn't as popular out of the islands as it was there. And it's basically a regular Spanish style guitar, but you lower the two strings here, bass strings, and the top string, and that's why you slack the strings. That's why it's called slack key. And you play bass on those strings. And then play melody on the top strings. And then in the 1880s, Joseph Kekuku took that style of guitar, raised the strings, and figured out to slide a steel bar up and down. But it wasn't until 1915 at the, I think it was called the Pan-Pacific Exposition in San Francisco, where they brought over a lot of Hawaiian entertainers, where the world really got to hear things like steel guitar and the ukulele and such. And people went crazy for that music. And Frank Ferrero at the time took advantage of the technology of the time. You think we live in a high-tech age. Back then, the new technology was the recording, audio recordings. We walk around now with our phones and with thousands and thousands of songs on them. Back those days, the new thing was the phonograph. The either wax cylinders or the 78 big RPM platters, 78 RPM, or 78s as we call them. And that was something totally new, and Frank Palakiko was his nickname, took advantage of that and did a lot of recordings. And the good thing was, at the time, it helped him promote his music and made people aware of what he was doing. And now, over 100 years later, we can hear his style of play, which for the time period was actually quite advanced and quite good. Very precise, very accurate. And he did a lot of songs too, not just Hawaiian songs, but popular songs of the period. Around 1920, things started to change, though, and we entered into another phase, or the next phase of Hawaiian steel guitar, and people like Sol Huapi'i, King Benny, the Genial Hawaiians, believe it or not, and many others sort of took the basics and advanced it to another form of playing. And we'll get into that later once I do some more practicing. But here's a song that comes from that era, but it's also a crossover song. It's called Sailing On to Hawaii. And I just heard one from recording of 78 on YouTube from Crystal Ruppenthal. If you ever want to check out some of the old stuff from 78s, check out Crystal Ruppenthal, Antique Aloha. He's a great player too, as well in that old style. But he sort of a collector and historian from the old 78s from that era. And any case, he published this on YouTube in 1931. But it was also a song that bashful brother Oswald, who played dobro or resophonic steel guitar with country music into the 30s and 40s. And he brought this song along with him because of its roots in Hawaiian music. And Sebastian Muller has a version of this that it's a fairly simple tune, but it's also has, I think, a very historic point in history. Sailing On to Hawaii. Switch. Somebody asked me why I switch cameras and just show my guitar. If you watch steel guitar players, this is all you get to see, because they've got their head down watching themselves playing their instrument. So the top of my head isn't, that's why I wear a hat, because it probably glare too much. But in any case, here's Sailing on to Hawaii. Well, there you go, some old Hawaiian steel guitar music. We'll move forward in time in the next videos. And thank you so much. For now, aloha.